Today I'm here with the Carlow Castle, the ruins of what was once one of the most formidable castles in the area. Carlow Castle's history is long and varied, and is a turbulent reminder of the times that Carlow, both in the foundation of the town and its subsequent development. The castle itself was started by William Marshall in 1208. This was following the Norman conquest, and Strongbow, or Richard de Clare, landed an army here at Baginbun in Wexford. Carlow being the major town in his plan to subdue and occupy the whole of South Leinster. William Marshall was a master architect of castles of the period, and this is the prime reason that Strongbow selected him to make a formidable series of defence castles stretching from New Ross in the south, Enniscorthy, Carlow, Athy and on to Dublin. The castle itself, and what you see today, is only the west wall and two end towers of it. It would have been a rectangular structure. It was never more than about 3 stories high, which in modern terms would be about 90 to 100 metres. Some of the base walls are in excess of 3 metres thick. The castle would have consisted basically on the ground floor of vaults or cellars. They was traditionally used as dungeons for prisoners and miscreants of the time, but in Carlow's case they were used primarily for the storage of documents and historical archives. The papers and parchments would have been stored within linen bags, placed within timber chests, and these would have been staved for a period of time and would have been the substantial library of the time. Other parts of the vaults would have been used as the castle armoury. We're told, but from records, that there would have been in excess, and during troubled times, of 500 soldiers on duty here. The first floor would have been given over to the likes of Philip Beauchal, who was a steward or a seneschal of the keep of the castle of Carlow. He would have shared the first floor with the grand hall. The grand hall would have been a meeting place, but also a place for dining, fine dining and entertainment. On a dais at the top of the hall, he would have sat there with many prominent officials of the area and burghers of the town, and the major commerce individuals of the area. Further down the hall would have been designated areas for lesser officials, depending on their rank and status within the structure of the castle. Soldiers, servants and the workers within the castle themselves would have found themselves outside the keep. Their accommodation consisted of shanty shacks, tents and the like that would have been stabled outside the keep against the outer skirting wall. Carlow's turbulent history meant that, unfortunately, many of the animals, livestock and soldiers were at serious risk of attack by what was termed at the time the Wild Irish, who were just over the river in the natural boundary of the River Barrow. The Barrow itself was never bridged until the 1563, some dispute it and say in 1593. Prior to that it was purely a ferry transporting soldiers, goods and chattels across the river. There was actually, well recorded in history, that Loughlin Bridge and Athy both had bridges, but Carlow at this point did not, and as I say, it relied solely on the use of the ferry to supply the castle and the town. In 1208 so much development had occurred, and this was the event of the starting of the building of the castle, that the Royal Charter declared Carlow a trading town and received its first charter to do so under the crown of Edward III. Now the castle steward or seneschal, Philip de Beauchard, lived for some 20 years. However, in 1282 he passed away. The circumstances being that he died without issue, which meant there was no male heir to take over the castle, the town, or any of the properties. These reverted to the crown. In 1306, the crown appointed Richard Bigod. Now, Richard Bigod's job was to steward the castle and continue the work that Strongbow had started in developing and controlling commerce. All goods that would have crossed the Barrow or come into the town at any time would have been subject to a tax, so you would have had a sort of a toll gate effect. The tower, known as White Castle, disappeared off the map very shortly afterwards, and doesn't exist or appear in any of the prints and drawings of the 14th and 15th centuries, but was well identified early on and was a significant part of the tax revenue raising of the castle in the future. It passed from there to when he had died, it had gone to the crown, and Lionel, the king's son, was actually the next inheritor of Carlow Castle, plus the town and all of it became his responsibility. He spent some £500, which at the time was a phenomenal amount, in developing and expanding the castle, developing its facilities and its infrastructure. The reason being that in that year and for 10 years afterwards, Carlow became the financial centre and the heart of Norman Ireland. It had been moved from Dublin down to Carlow, but after the period of 10 years, it was deemed as not the area, not safe, not a protected area that they could rely on. So the financial exchequer moved back again to Dublin. It was less than 50 years, and this is an indication of how much the border this was of on the very edge of the Pale, they called it. Across the river would have been the outside the Pale would have been the area of the Wild Irish. And to prove this fact and to drive home the seriousness of their position here in Carlow, Rory O'Gormore, some 50 years later, not only took over the castle in one of the many rebellions in the area, he burned and sacked the town of Carlow and its castle and its contents. And we're quoted, we're told by the historians that there was a major loss, slaughter, great slaughter to all those who dwelled therein, the castle and the town.